Hello everyone. Phoenix 6-1 here with your Legend Shenanigans for the day. We are rocking ranked, right, 1v1 on, with, tier 7 battleships, right? So on Madness ended up being my choice. We do have an 85% win rate here, right? I didn't get to go 100% like we did with the last ones with the cruisers, right? I think I had played a few games ranked in the Madness in a previous season, right? So my stats aren't completely inclusive of this one, right? But other choices I think that are good are Brandenburg. If you have Brandenburg, there's one game out there where I'm bested by a Brandenburg. The other one would be Schornhurst 43, right? I think I lost twice to Schornhursts, right? And I'll show my losses, right? But the Madness is sort of a slightly modified Zeton, right? So if you're going for this, you could try Zeton, right? The regular tech tree sort of battle cruisers, right? The biggest difference here is going to be you get an option for a rolling smoke screen, and we'll show kind of why I picked that right off the bat here in this first battle. So, but this is just going through the loadout, right? It's a full-blown secondary build, except with these battle cruisers, you have a limited number of damage control parties. So we are using Otto Celiax. He's a free-to-play commander. Franz von Hipper, also free-to-play. The only one I'm not using that's not free would be Haruna, right? So use whoever else you have for your second inspiration slot. If you don't have Haruto, right? Like there's a few decent choices out there, right? But basically the reason I'm using him is because he's got some of these perks that give you extra damage control charges, such as this highly educated crew. And then this advanced schemes is also a secondary boost to secondaries. Properly meticulous is kind of my go-to there. And then I'm using running with scissors since it's a 1v1, right? And then the another shtick with the ships that have the limited number of damage control parties is that damage con comes back faster, right, than normal, right? So I was trying some games out with, we tried on live stream earlier this week, right? And I was trying to use BA Turpits, and it just was not jiving with me, right? So I kind of gave up on that and gave it some thought. But yeah, I mean, with ranked, right, this is season 89. Usually with ranked, what you're going after is the steel. So if you don't care about steel, or if you just plain old don't like playing battleships, I would skip ranked for that particular season, right? It's also 1v1, which is a little bit different too. A lot of times it's 3-on-3. But here what we're doing is we're putting this thing to work, right? So we have basically a cheat code, especially when you're going up against another a battleship that doesn't have defenses like sonar, right? Or torpedoes. So we're using our sonar to keep this Alabama spotted, and then we're using the rolling smoke screen to keep him from spotting us, and then we just won't fire the main gun. So we get a torpedo hit on the nose there, and we trigger a flood. So that's going to force him to use his damage con. And then we are triggering fires as well with the secondary batteries. Of course, he's getting frustrated and blind firing in to the smoke screen, right, trying to get a hit on us, right? So we're going to have him almost dead here by the time he actually gets a spot, right? The rolling smoke only lasts so long. We had another 2 torpedo hits there. And then the rolling smoke's done with, so we're going to fire the main guns here. We do get a little bit lucky on the knock on the main battery turret on the front there, so he's going to be without a turret there. And then, yeah, so just like, this is the, I would say, like, the perfect storm. Like, this poor soul doesn't really have a chance. And it's one of those scenarios where this is just the right tool for the job. Now, we go up against, right, this is, I think this was like game 16 or something, right? So I'm putting this one first just to kind of show and articulate my thought process behind picking this ship. There are some good ships that go up against this Madness, and there are some good players that we go up against too, right? So we do lose a few games here and there. I mean, even with my 20 straight wins in the cruiser that we did last week, right? Like, there were some challenging games, right? We got a little bit lucky here and there, but yeah. So, but that one just made it look just so easy, and you're gonna see that, right? So when we go up against, let's say, yeah, so that was right when we were getting to rank 3. So we'll skip that game later, and then I skip a couple other games that have that just kind of like lasted long, but we won. But I'll show the losses, right? Odins, these guys gave me some run for my money because, right, they've got torpedoes and they've got sonar, right? So when I try to use my smoke sonar trick, they can, if I'm close enough to them, they can trip their sonar and keep me spotted that way. So we had to rely on other tactics to get the wins here, right? We know he's got torpedoes, right? So I started trying to dodge those as soon as I could. We're going to take a couple of them here, though. And by a couple, I mean all of them, right? Is this one that I lost? Let me see. We'll see. I can't remember. I don't remember losing to an Odin. I remember losing to Schornhurst and Brandenburg here, so maybe we just... Oh, I think we've got him flooding. I think that's how we end up winning on this one, right? So, wait, I think we had triggered a fire early on, and yeah, so he dies from the flood. I forgot about that. Yeah, so... Yeah, I think we triggered a fire early on, right? I'm skipping ahead to the action as much as I can here, right? And then, yeah, we had tripped a fire early on, and he used the damage con, right? So that's kind of one thing that I like about the battle cruiser line here is you do get the limited number of damage cons, which isn't that bad of a thing in ranked, where the games kind of go kind of quickly, right? In standard game mode, you kind of gotta think about those a little bit more. But here, I was just using them willy-nilly because I got 5 of them to go through, and so it really wasn't that much of an issue or that much of a problem. But yeah, I saw a lot of Odins out there, so that was a good choice. Like I said, Schornhurst 43, a couple of those bested me, right? We get the torp hit there, and then he is running away, so it looks like our torpedoes, right, the starboard side torps are going to be out of range, but I'm going to fire them because he's going to run aground, so I just wanted to get them on the way. And then we'll see if we can get those hits, right? Because he's headed right for that island. So I kind of figured yep, so there he goes. He hits the ground. But yeah, Schornhurst 43, and then I think I lost twice to Schornhurst, and then once to a Brandenburg. And then after playing a couple of them, right, I kind of figured out, you know, the strategy to go up against those ships, and I don't make those mistakes as much later on, right? So we learn by doing on my channel, right? So... but yeah, we missed the torps there. It's not too big of a deal. We're quite a bit ahead of him on health, and we've even still got all 5 of our damage cons here. Here come the torps. We had the sonar going, right? Like a lot of these games go so quick. We've got, you know, once we get in range, we trip that sonar, and then, you know, the game's over before the sonar is done half the time. So, yeah, but I think he maybe was trying to ram us by going backwards here. So I did hit full reverse. And then he might have torpedoes loaded on his starboard side here too. So I'm going to send these as early as I can. We might be too close for his to arm, just because our torpedoes are on the towards the back of the ship. So, and a pretty good torpedo angle there, so we're able to get away with that, right? So that's rank 8, right? I skip a couple of games that were kind of like long and boring. Just to keep this video from being like over an hour long, right? Like we did cruisers with Pizarski, right? We won all like 20 games in a row, and so we didn't, you know, when you lose, it sets you back, so then you got to even play even more games, right? So Anhalt was, I don't know, that's a decent choice. I think you got some random torpedoes and a lot of main guns, but I think I saw 2 of these out here, right? They didn't give me any trouble, really, right? We're already at 81,000 damage. We jumped ahead in this game, but we had already used a smoke and a sonar, and kind of did some circling around, and then had to come, you know, we weren't spotting each other, so it was sailing simulator, right? So I skipped ahead to basically to where we get the win here on this one. We'll send the torpedoes there, right? So those guys didn't give too much trouble. I think that was that's an older, a couple of years ago, like holiday premium ship or whatever, right? I don't remember. It was one that I didn't pick up. I wasn't willing to spend cash for it, so we didn't get it. We'll trip the heel. I don't think we're going to need it. And then I was just kind of like, just in case, right? I know he's got torpedoes. I don't remember exactly like how many. I think he's got like single launchers, but I decided to like turn the other way just in case, but then he ends up dying from like the fire or whatever, right? So we win out on that game, so that's going to get us up into tier 7. 4 ranked. And then Zaitin, right? So we go up a couple against a couple of these. The trick here is going to be, right? I know he's got almost the same loadout as us, minus the smoke screen, right? So we trip the sonar and smoke, and a lot of times, right, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm getting spotted by sonar, I'll trip my sonar, right? So it's not gonna work against a lot of these, against a lot of the ships that have the sonar, and that's what you're gonna see the most of when you get 1v1, you know, ranked battles and battleships, right? So, but we get plenty of warning for the torpedoes. He, of course, gets plenty of warning for ours because he also has sonar going, right? So we're not worrying about our smoke firing penalty or anything in the smoke, right? We get a nice Citadel hit there. And then I tried to fire the torpedoes like a little bit short, right? Because we know he's gonna spot them early, so I kind of figured maybe we fire them short, and then that way he'll start to try to maneuver and won't have enough time, but he still had plenty of time. I should have fired them way shorter than what I did. But as you can see, right, we're a little bit ahead. We've had these fires going. We got that nice Citadel hit when he turned broadside trying to get torps on us. And then I know he's going to try and get his port side torpedoes sent in this direction as well. Sort of a last-ditch effort. So we already started trying to dodge those by slamming on the brakes and turning in the opposite direction. And then he's just giving up just enough angle here for us. We'll aim high on these shots, but that's going to finish him off. And that's going to get us up into... I don't remember which games I skipped, so we'll see where we're at now. Yeah, that'll get us up into 6. Right. Next game, what are we up against here? Another Zeiton. Right, so same kind of thing here. I need to be careful because I know he's got torpedoes, I know he's got secondaries, I know he's got sonar, right? So we need to rely on some skill to get the win on this one, right? So we'll maneuver away from him. We want to be careful about his torpedoes. We're still getting detected by the sonar. We're obviously picking him up with the sonar, right? So we'll see if we can get around and get our starboard torps off here. And he looks like he's slowing down, actually. Okay. Yeah, he's slowing down, so we might not be able to go with that plan. Right, and he's going to see them super, super early, right? So even, yeah, we can see that he's slowing down. So even if we were to send him, I think it'd be kind of pointless, right? So we'll hit him with the mains here to get a defend ribbon. That's fine. Right, and we'll damage con the single fire because, well, we've got 5 of these damage control parties that go quite a little bit faster. Right, so a little bit of sailing simulator here, so I'm going to actually fast forward through some of this portion. Right, so there's a few games like this where, you know, we're playing cat and mouse with whoever we're up against, and there's a couple of those games that I kind of skipped just because they're not entertaining at all. But, like, I wanted to include at least 1 or 2 just because, like, you know, this is what you run into, right? So we're out of sonar. I'm going to hope that, you know, I'm kind of fingers crossed that he's out of sonar as well. So he might not get his early detection warning here for these torpedoes. I did fire them short. We kind of anticipate we'll use the damage count on the double fire. I realize it's a little bit risky because, right, he's got the torps. But I did use the smoke screen here, you notice. But once we get within that 2-kilometer range, he's going to pick us up anyway. That's your guaranteed detection, right? So kind of the trick there was just stop firing my main guns, wait for him to fire his main guns, and then he's the one that's subject to that 20-second smoke firing penalty, right? So we kind of did a little bit of strategic trickery there to finish him off. So yeah, that's kind of, we do that a few times on a couple of games here, right? Where I'll use, right, we'll wait, like here at Atlantico, we could probably do it here, right? He just fired his main guns. We could technically just hold off firing our main guns, right? So yeah, I'm trying to see when he fires his mains, and I'm going to stop firing my main guns, right? So there's a main gun shot. I'm going to hit the smoke, right? And now we've got, you know, he's out of our sonar range, so that's not what's spotting him. What's keeping him spotted is the 20-second you know, firing penalty, which, you know, applies to smokescreen firing as well, right? So we're getting basically 20 seconds of freebie secondary shots here on him, as long as we don't fire our main battery. You know, if we fired our main battery, then we would also be subject to that, like, smoke firing penalty, right? So now he's close enough for sonar, so I tripped the sonar, And then we're going to turn about here. So we have port side torpedoes ready. He's going to, looks like he's backing up, and I think he's going to run aground here. And so he's really not going to have much of any place to go, right? And he's probably getting a little frustrated just for the sheer fact that we are keeping him spotted too, right? So starboard torps obviously didn't hit him. He kept backing up, which I was like kind of hoping he would not, I was kind of hoping he'd start going forward, and that's why we sent those torpedoes through there, right? But yeah, we'll fire the main guns here, right? We get the kind of the first shot there. We had sent the torpedoes already with sort of a little bit of an anticipation that he'll probably turn away a little bit, with anticipation of like, trying not to be perfectly broadside to us, and potentially him knowing that we've got torpedoes, right, that we can send, right? So keeping an eye on those. Looks like we're going to get at least the one hit there. And see, we might have him flooding. It's always hard to tell with these secondaries going. And that's going to get us the kill there with those rear main battery turrets, right? So this is going to put us up into rank 5. And then here is another Scharnhorst 43 game. Trying to remember if this is the one that we lose or not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I lose twice to Scharnhorst 43, and I didn't realize, or I forgot that, because I don't have Scharnhorst 43, but I don't think they have sonar, right? So yeah, so I know they've got torpedoes, right? And he sent those a little bit early, but I don't think they have sonar, right? So we're able to use the smoke screen, the rolling smoke screen sonar trick up against the Scharnhorst 43. Either that or I was getting real lucky and these guys weren't using it, right? But yeah. But you can see here, right, I didn't fire the main battery guns. You notice we got spotted at 3 kilometers. That means this person's using the target acquisition mod instead of the concealment mod, right? So he got a little bit early detection of us. It almost works like a little bit of a permanent sonar, but only for like 3 kilometers, right? But all right, so we're going to take some torp hits here. Yeah, so I think that's, I don't know, like, right, just like a good, smart player, thinking like, okay, it's 1v1, put the target acquisition mod on. Like, that's totally entirely possible. And if so, good for this guy, right? Because, yeah, this might be the one where this might be one of them where he beats me out, right? Yeah, let's see, I'm flooding here. So I'm just desperate for my damage control to come back. Right, and I was using it willy-nilly, right, previously, right, we're going to use it, just because, right, it comes back so quickly, right, and then I'm got to look in front of me, I know I'm giving up quite a bit of angle here, but I'm trying not to run aground, so I'm far enough up, I can start turning back, was kind of relying on some torpedoes. Yeah, I think this is the one that we lose, just because, yeah, he gets another fire on us. And we missed the torpedo shots. I don't know if we would have gotten those at least 1 or 2 of those torpedo hits. We might have had a win there, right? So I think that's one that's, yeah. So this puts us back. This sets us back, right? We lose a star there. So now we got to get 2 wins to get up to 4 instead of just the 1 there. I think the game prior to that is one that I maybe skipped, right? So. But yeah, up against an Odin. Like I said, these guys gave me a little bit of a run for my money as well. So another good choice if you're struggling to find one out there. Right, and then he fired his main guns, so we're going to use the smoke screen. And then, yeah, we're close enough for sonar to be picked up and pick him up, right? So he tripped his sonar. We're going to slam on the brakes. We know that the torpedoes are on the way. He obviously has plenty of early warning for our torpedoes as well. Kind of trying to decide how many I want to take here. We can get away with the 1. Great. Full damage con the flood. And then I'm like, what? Is he trying to ram me? Right, so I'm going to slam on the brakes and we'll have port side torps ready for him. He may be trying to do the same thing, so it may just be a matter of if my torpedoes get to him before his get to me. And sure enough, either that or maybe we knocked out that side of torpedoes, or he didn't have them loaded yet. I don't know, but we got the win. We'll take it. Made me a little bit nervous. All right, Brandenburg. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one where he just wears me out, right? So I skip ahead a little bit here, but notice like how much time's already gone, and I've already burned through 3 of my damage control charges, right? I'm just like, the mentality of use it right away every time because these are 1v1 ranked and they're short games did not work out for me, right? So I do not make this, well, I don't want to call it a mistake here, right? But yeah, like I'm just so low on health. He's working his way through me. He knows where to shoot at me, right? It's a good player, right? So and then he's got obviously a really good secondary build, right? So Brandenburg would be another good choice, right? If you've got Brandenburg. But I want to say kind of my mistake here was I went through, capped the zones, and tried to keep my distance, and I think that was, I shouldn't have done that, right? Because Brandenburg, I don't think Brandenburg has sonar, right? So we could run up, but he does have 6 kilometer range torpedoes, right? So I was trying to keep my distance because of the torpedoes. We'll use the smoke screen here. He did fire his main gun, so we're going to have him spotted for a little bit of time here. Yeah, he knocked out our starboard side torps, right? So I'm going to use the smoke screen to get myself turned around. And then I know just because we're so low on health that he's got this huge advantage against us. So I'm just trying to kind of like, let's push and see if we can get lucky here, right? But yeah, so I'm pretty sure I go up against another Brandenburg. I kept one of those games, right? And we don't make this mistake, right? We just needed to be, I think, a little bit more aggressive, and then that's how we end up winning against Brandenburgs, right? So, but yeah, this player did a good job. Yeah, obviously, like, right, double fire, so this is going to be my last damage control, right? I'm like, all right, we need these torp hits. I'm headed straight for this island, trying to wait till we go undetected, and then I'm going to make my hard right turn and send those torps. We're keeping him spotted with our sonar at the moment, and I'm going to send the torpedoes short, because I'm going to assume he's going to do some maneuvering, right? And so we'll just kind of fingers crossed, hope we get lucky there. But we spoiler alert, we don't, right? And then we're going to come around this corner here too, and he's going to pick us up, right? So he's going to get a decent chunk on us here. I was actually kind of surprised he didn't finish me off, but we managed to survive for a little bit there. I'm going to duck behind this island and slam on the brakes here. And then unfortunately, right, I don't have my torpedo tubes on the other side. On my starboard side of my ship are done for, right? They've been completely destroyed. So I can't zig and zag away from this guy. And I'm just watching those torpedoes with fingers crossed, hoping I'd get a hit, and obviously I don't, right? So, but yeah. So we'll give this one a minute here, right? I'm just trying to be patient. I was trying to strategize, like, right, I want to keep him on my port side, right? Because I'm hoping that at some point I get another opportunity to send those torpedoes towards him. That's really kind of the only like hope I have of winning this one, right? So I'm just remaining concealed here, trying to back up, hoping that he's moving, towards me and that our sonar can pick him up. But you notice Bravo's getting capped, so he went the other way, right? So there he is on that side, which is bad for me because I don't have port side torps. Right, so we get a little bit of damage on him there, but it's just not going to be enough anymore. Right, Brandenburg's got great secondaries and really good range too. I think that's one of the better range ones. I don't know if my Madness or Zeiton go up as far as Brandenburg even does. Right, but another good choice. Right, so he bested me there for sure, and I think a lot of it was just because of those like early fires that he had set on me. Yeah, so that keeps us down at rank 4. But yeah, okay, yeah. So here we are, right? Different player, right? But I've learned my mistake. I'm learning by doing, right? I'm learned from my mistakes, right? So Brandenburg, no sonar, right? So I can use my smoke screen and sonar trick here, and so we're keeping him spotted, and we're going to remain undetected because we're in the rolling smoke. I only have a few seconds left on it, but we're going to be able to get some secondaries going on him, trip the fire there, and we sent the torpedoes, right? So that's a good combination. Smoke screen's running out, so I'm going to send we're going to fire the main batteries there, no big deal. He's going to fire at us. We're already, right, we use that smoke screen to get ourselves turned around. We're going to send those torpedoes from the starboard side through there. Here come his. Got to keep an eye here to make sure that, you're right, we've got the sonar, so we've got super early warning. So we should be able to get around these. I wanted to start turning back, but we can't because of those torpedoes, right? But a good chunky hit on him there, right? So I was just kind of like, I just needed to be a little bit more aggressive, and then we do get a little bit lucky, right? He was like broadside there, like that hit that we gave him there too. So, right, so that last player was definitely good, but it kind of felt good to get my revenge against a Brandenburg. So that gives us another star. Yeah, so I must have skipped the last game that we won there, right? I tried to skip a couple just to make the video not so crazy long. But here's another scenario where we've got a ship that doesn't have sonar or torpedoes. Vanguard, right? Probably not the greatest choice, but if it's your only tier 7 battleship, right? So we'll trip our smoke screen and we'll trip our sonar to keep him spotted, right? Sonar on this ship is like 5.6 kilometer range or something for ship detection, right? So I might as well just wait till I get nice and close. The only thing that would be a problem would be is if he's got if he's running target acquisition instead of concealment, because then he would pick us up at 3 kilometers, right? But I just have a nice broadside shot on him there. I could have avoided, right? I could have held off firing the main guns, but we just had such a good shot, so I took it. We'll spin back around. We get 2 torpedo hits there, and we'll get the port side torps off. And then we've got a decent angle still here, so we'll fire the rear turret's main guns there. All 4 shells hit. And then I'm going to start turning back the other way again. We're just going to zig and zag, right? So we trigger a flood there, so I think that might be the end of him. He might be on damage control. Cooldown. Yep, we've got damage numbers ticking up still. So we'll give up a little bit of angle just to try, right? We've got like almost full health, right? Like this poor soul didn't stand a chance, right? We just get such an advantage, you know, if they don't have, if you're not somewhat of a brawler ship, right? You need like torpedoes or sonar or something, right? To be able to stand a chance against something like this, right? Shornhurst 43. I know I lose against 2 of them. Have we lost against 2 already, right? This might be one that I win. All the games tend to blur together some days. I like just finished playing these too. Yeah, torp hits there. So we triggered the flood, so he'll be on damage control cooldown. And then, yeah, here's where, right, so we can trip the smoke screen here. He is right at the 2 kilometer range, though, is the problem, right? So we'll trip the smoke screen, and then we need to try and get further away, because once he gets sit within 1.9, he's going to have us spotted. All right, 2.1. Yep, so I think this is where I was like, oh, man, I'm just now realizing that Shornhurst 43 doesn't have sonar, and I can get away with this. Like, why wasn't I doing this before? But, like, even still, it's still a good choice, right? It's still a good choice, so. Then, yeah, I'm just using the overhead cam to try and get that front turret over back to the starboard side of the ship, right? So we trigger a flood there. So I think he's on damage control cooldown, so that's gonna bleed, right? That's gonna flood. We got fires going on him too, it looks like. And then smoke screen's running out, so we might as well fire the main guns. We've got running with scissors. That's giving us extra main battery damage too, right? So it's just brutal hit there. So, yep, take him out. Yeah. We're learning. We learn by doing on my channel. We figured out how to deal with Shornhurst going forward now. All right, Roma, right? So this is another poor soul that's just not going to stand a chance. So, right, we're already got the smoke screen going. We've got the sonar going. That's going to keep him detected here. I was patient enough to wait for the torpedoes to kind of see what he was doing. We trigger a fire there. Looks like he is letting it burn. And then we trigger a flood there. So he's probably going to damage con that. And then we'll swing it back around to try and get the port side torps off here. Now I fire them right in where the suggested line was, and then we get spotted, so he turns towards me, right? I should have waited, right? Hindsight's 20/20, right? But I definitely should have waited on the torpedoes on that one until we got spotted to just to see what what he's gonna do, you know. Instead, I sent him like like no kidding, right? So poor anticipation on my part, but still, we just has such an advantage, right off the bat here anyway. So he doesn't really stand much of a chance. I think Roma's got his own smoke screen too. I'm not sure if that's why people were picking this ship. I think I might have seen like 2 of them out there. I think I went up against them twice. I think what happened was I was going to go and play... because yeah, there's a couple, like the first couple of wins that I had, I wasn't recording. I was like, let's just play ranked, because when I played on live stream with BA Turpitz, I was like not feeling it. And so I wasn't even recording my first couple of games. I think we went against a Roma and then a Nebraska and just annihilated because like those poor folks don't have, sonar. So we're able to just cheese and use the smoke and sonar combo, right, and kind of get away with that. And then I was like, all right, if we're going to run into these kinds of ships, I need to show, right, I want to record this, right? So, but yeah, we definitely, there's a way to counter it, right? It's pretty much any ship that's got sonar of its own and torpedoes of its own. Like I said, the ones that gave me the most trouble were, right, some Odins got pretty close, and then the Schornhurst 43s, lost to that one twice, and then we lost to a Brandenburg once. So, but yeah, so Roma's going to be an easy kill there. So we'll take that, see what that gets us up to. That's our rank 2, so we need 2 more wins. So I think that there might be a loss in my future here. Alright, so Atlanticos, these were not a problem for us, right? Because we can use the smoke sonar trick. They don't have torpedoes and they don't have sonar, right? So I got a little happy, like, right, I got a little excited and had the smoke going, like, kind of too early here on this one. But it's really not a big deal, right? So our smoke's going to run out, so we're going to get spotted here as we come out of the smoke, so we might as well fire the main guns. We had torpedoes already en route. See if we get a hit from that. Nope, missed there. Right, and then so we'll send starboard torps, and then I'll start turning back the other way in case we need the port side torpedoes, right? Those were the ones I had sent first, so they're going to be on a minute cooldown. We'll damage con the fire. We've got plenty of damage controls, and they come back quick. So, and he doesn't have torpedoes, so don't have to worry about that. But we're going to get plenty of hits, and so just a little bit, right? That counted as a dev strike for us there. So that was a quick, easy game, right? So those basically anybody that doesn't have sonar, right? We're just bullying them. It's just not even fair, right? So Schornhurst 43. So I think I'm gonna guess this is the other one that we lose. Let's see what we go with here. Yeah, because he's so close to us, right? So he's within the guaranteed detection range. And then we just missed these torpedoes, right? And so that's going to be my downfall there. So I think maybe he gets us with his. Yep, here come his torps. We'll take the shots there, and yeah, we're just flooding on this one. It's like an almost like identical repeat of one of the other the other Schornhurst game that we lost, right? But right, we're close on him. We're close. But yeah, damage con comes back so quick that like the flood wasn't that. Yeah, I mean it's still what ruined me. I'm trying to like. In my mind, I'm trying to argue that it was okay that I used damage con. It really wasn't. Yeah, but that was close, right? That was a pretty close game. So, GG's to that fellow. That individual. And yep, that set us back a star again there. And then here we've got, alright, so right, I'm not messing around with you Schornhurst anymore. We're gonna get you. Right, so no sonar, right? I'm like finally like I've gotten my head like now I'm remembering they don't have sonar, right? Because otherwise he'd be using it, right? For sure at this point. So we need to keep him outside of the 2.0 kilometer range because that'll be our guaranteed detection. And we're picking him up with sonar, so that's how we're able to see him and he's not able to see us, right? So now as he comes around this corner, we can, like once we suspect he's going to have line of sight on us, we can drop our rolling smoke and go undetected here. right? So I should have shot this sooner. He's anticipating torpedoes coming around the corner, right? Smart player. So he anticipated that, right? He's at 2.1 kilometers. I need to, right? I was like so annoyed that we didn't at least get that one for like to trigger something, you know? So we floored it forward, right? To try and not let him get within 1.9, right? And that worked. And then he's going to start moving forward too. So now we should have a little bit more luck with these torps. And then I'm already going to anticipate trying to turn back the other way. So I put my reticle, right, I aim on the other side of my ship, on my port side of my ship. Get 3 torpedo hits, that's huge for us. We've got 20 seconds left on the sonar, so we'll be able to see his early, so there they are. So I know to slam on the brakes, right? That was a really good shot because he's looking at the island that's to my right on my starboard side, and he is suspecting that I would turn to avoid beaching myself. Which is what my plan was until we saw the torpedoes with the early detection from the sonar, right? So, so now I can finish making that turn if I want to. So I'm going to start turning back to my left to avoid beaching myself. We've got 27 seconds left on the torpedoes on this port side here. We may not need him if he's going to give up this kind of angle here. But he may be trying to send his torpedoes right from his starboard side. So that's probably why he's giving up so much angle. But he's so low on health now, I'm just waiting for the main guns to load. We'll take a second to make that shot, right? Make sure we get the hits. And then there's the kill with close quarters. So that gives me my star back. So now we just need one more win. Alright, so our last one's in Atlantico. I was kind of sad that it gave me an Atlantico because, right, we know how this goes. It's going to be an easy kill for us, right? We've got the sonar smokescreen trick. We've already used it against him. So I just, yeah. we just kind of, it wasn't, right. I skipped to the end of that one, obviously. That one, like, if you notice the time, like, he went, like, all the way around the map before he came back into the zone. I had the zone capped. I literally thought he was an AFK player for a little while and went over to his spawn point before I noticed him capping the zone. So had to chase him down and then, yeah, use our smokescreen sonar tricks and got him with the torps there, obviously, right? So ranked out for season 89, right? My pick was the Madness, right? This was a Rust and Rumble like event a year or two ago, right? So so that's what we went with there. We'll go through the build again too, right? I know I went through this in the beginning of the video as well, right? But standard, right? On standard game mode, right? We do okay with it, 60% win rate. But ranked, right? Especially 1v1, right? It's just working out really, really well here. Like I said, I know 3 of those defeats were the 1v1. I think I might have played like a couple of games on a previous ranked season. And decide, I think that's when I ended up using like BA Turpits or something when it was like 3 versus 3 probably. But yes, Brandenburg's a good choice as well. Obviously, like we've, repeating it enough, right? Shorenhurst 43 is the one that we lost twice to that ship. So if you've got that ship, you can give it a chance, right? Your challenge there is you don't have sonar with Shorenhurst, right? So, and then, yeah, if you want to go right, regular tech tree, you could do a similar kind of thing that what I've been doing, right? With Zeiton is very, very similar to the Manus. You just don't have an option for the rolling smoke, right? So, and you could see how valuable that was in some situations, right? So, but yeah, secondary battery mod for slot 1, propulsion for slot 2, concealment, right? So the other option there is that target acquisition. So that's what people were picking me up at 3-kilometer range instead of 2-kilometer range, right? So, and then Celiax, right, free-to-play commander. He has more Battleship main gun AP shell damage, but Franz von Hipper, as always, is your must for any secondary build. And then we're using Haruna for our other inspiration slot. I went with this one for the quicker damage control cooldown, right? Some of these options are, right, like this takes away from main battery range. This increases your getting on fire chance, right? So I like that first row better. And then highly educated crew, because this gives us the more secondary range and 2 more damage controls. Advanced schemes gives us boost to secondaries as well. Increased fire chances too there, right? And then properly meticulous. Gives us some stuff all around. And then I liked running with scissors. Right, fire with fire is always a good choice. And that maybe would have helped me out in one of those scenarios, right, against that Brandenburg that we lost against. But running with scissors for a 1v1 just kind of made a little bit more sense. And I feel like we utilized that more than we would have fight fire with fire. Obviously, will to rebuild's kind of silly to use because of... right, you don't have anybody. You need an ally near you to get the healing. It does, like, improve your heals a little bit or something, right? But, yep, ranked 1. So, a season 89, that's going to be the end of it for us. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you're still here, 40-minute videos, guys. Man, it's tough for me to talk this long, right? But thanks for hanging out with me. Please do consider subscribing to the channel. That helps me out quite a bit. Drop a like and a comment for the algorithm gods to help me out as well. And we will see you guys next time.